Hey everybody, Josh Ronquist here for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel for another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for November 1st, 2024. This week hits 500 album reviews, as I have 9 brand new albums coming out today, or on Halloween depending on the release date, you know what's going on here, and then 11 albums I've missed along the way. In full transparency, I've hit a brick wall when it comes to this, and it's actually been a chore this week to get all the albums together, and I actually am going to be stopping Out Today and What I Missed this year on November 15th. That way I have 2 weeks to be able to put together my top 100 albums of 2024 before taking the month off of December like I do every single year. I'll be mentioning that in the upcoming Out Today and What I Missed reviews as well. But enough of that dilly-dally, let's get into it. First up, we have Arctis with their self-titled debut. This Finnish outfit is just pure catchiness. It gets heavy enough, it stays almost brutal, but it has such a sense of dancey, catchy moments that makes this some of the most fun metal that I've heard in 2024. You could hear this at a dance club, you could hear this at a metal venue, it'll work perfectly no matter what. It's a winning formula that is sure to win over both sides of the rock genre, whether you like it more heavy or catchy. Short, simple, memorable, excellent production, and it's just that perfect ear candy, earworm combination. If you want something that is fun, this is meant for you. No screams, no evil, just endless, happy enjoyment. Next up is the band Bombus with Your Blood. This is the 5th album from the Swedish outfit, and it's a great example of what the band has been trying to do all these years. It is perfectly refined classic metal, hard rock, the occasional stoner and sludgy moments, but really, it feels like a modernized classic metal band, and it just works so perfectly. The production is just warm enough. I'm not sure if it was done on analog, but it really has that vibe to it. But it really does feel like a late 70s, early 80s album that has been unearthed in 2024. The songwriting still hits home today, which is why it's so enjoyable to be able to throw on. It's a modern throwback. It's a fun album from start to finish, and it's the kind of thing that you were looking for. I really think that you should give this one a shot. Just kick back and enjoy. Next up, we have Brothers of Metal with a name that I really hope I don't butcher too bad, Fimbulvinter. This is a band that's been going strong for 12 years now. With their 3rd album, the band just continues to refine their sound, and it really does feel like it's been perfected to its purest form. Every song knows how to be the right kind of catchy. It has variables that make it just different enough, but it also just gets stuck in your head for days. It's not the kind of album that is doing anything radically different than what they've done in the past, but it is refined and perfected like I mentioned before. They know who they are and they want to write the best music possible for their style. It's simple, fun, catchy, and memorable. That's all I want in this style of power metal, and Brothers of Metal continuously deliver the goods. If you want that, pick this one up now. Up next is Carved Memories with the Moirai. This debut album from this Costa Rican band that's now based out of Berlin is quite the trip. It is a perfect blend of symphonic black metal, melodic death metal, and a little bit of different elements that makes everything feel so raw but pristine, which is a weird way to talk about it. It's quite dense in its layers, especially thanks to Clement Weigers of Crack Engren doing the orchestration on this album. Every time that you listen, you'll discover something new. The production is raw, but it fits the mold of what the band is going after, and you can still hear everything that's going on. If you like the dark sides of both of these genres and you want to hear them mixed together, this album deserves your full attention. Up next, we have the debut album from Coma Hole with Hand of Severance. Now, this is the perfect throwback to 70s, maybe early 80s, but definitely 70s doom metal, hard rock, and very sludgy rock as well. I never would have thought a duo like this would come from Rhode Island. It's got the perfect amount of doom going on, but you add in moments of faster-paced hard rock, and you have an album that should satisfy anyone that's looking for some music in the genre, but with a bit more flair and creativity to it. The production is punchy, fuzzy, and really gives off that 1977 vibe. The songwriting zigs and zags in all the right moments. Seriously, give this one a shot if you're looking for something that just might blow you away in this doom, fuzz, stoner style. Not a lot of bands are able to pull something like this off, so this one deserves your attention. Up next is another debut album, this time coming from the band Dead Icarus with Zealot. While the rest of Atreyu is now doing bro country for some reason, the former screamer of Atreyu started off what might be one of my favorite debut releases of this style. It's metalcore, it's alternative, it's extreme, it's black metal. It hits so many different genres, all while making complete and utter sense the more you listen to it. It might sound like a hodgepodge of sound at first, but the more that you listen to it, everything starts to unlock. The band is not afraid to try anything and make it work, and they do wear their influences on their sleeve, which I truly appreciate. It's a slick production, the songwriting, again, might sound like a hodgepodge, but just give it a shot. It is a journey of sound, but for anyone adventurous enough, this just might be for you, no matter what you enjoy in metal. Up next is the band that I apologize for getting all of this wrong. I feel like I'm going to butcher it. Ephialtes with Malas Oneros. This is another debut album, this time from a one-man band in Poland who does the perfect blend of black and death metal and melodic metal on top of all of that. Imagine bands like Behemoth and Vader and all of those black and death metal bands that you know and love, but with this rich extra layer of melodic death and melodic metal thrown on top of it that really makes everything stand out and gives everything a very rich melodic death metal, beautiful sound. I'm amazed at how clean this sounds considering this is a one-man band, and with this being a debut album, I simply can't wait to see what's next. If this is what they're doing now, it's only going to get better from here on out. Up next is League of Distortion with Galvanize. This is the sophomore album from this band, and while I really did enjoy what they did on their debut album, I did an interview for it, of course, I really feel like this is the album that they really wanted to make. This really pushes everything into the modern metal world. Not that the debut album didn't do that, but everything on here just gets pushed to 11. The electronic moments are at full force, the vocals are so powerful, and they really make the album. And every single song on here is endlessly catchy. This is exactly what should be on Top 40 Rock Radio here in the States if things were a little better here, but they're not. The band is continuously blowing up, and it's a great thing to see, and especially considering who's a part of this band, including members of Kiss and Dynamite, it's quite easy to see why it's happening. If you want a mix of electronic, power metal, hard rock, and modern metal, this is an album for you. And finally, for brand new music out today is New Skeletal Faces with Until the Night. 2024 has become a fantastic year for post-punk, gothic rock, and New Skeletal Faces is another dark, shining example of that. It's everything that you love about the genre with one key exception. The vocals are quite intentionally strained, which gives the music almost a black metal feel. It feels a little darker and a little more haunted and demented. It is the perfect album to put on this time of year, and even though Halloween has gone by the time that you heard this, if you still want to celebrate, you should put this one on and remember the Halloween that you just experienced. However, you are celebrating this time of year, I think you'll enjoy this one. It's a throwback, but just updated enough. Given how you feel about the vocals, this might be your new favorite album of the genre in 2024. And now it's time for all the stuff that I've missed along the way, starting with another debut album. And I really hope that I don't butcher this one either. I was. With Darkth, it is. 2024 has become a monster year for Doom, especially in the second half of the year, especially this time of year. And this is another hauntingly beautiful example. This German duo's debut album is a fitting love letter to the genre of the really melodic doom metal. It covers some of the darkest aspects of it as well, but it really does focus on the melodic doom that I love so very, very much. With an outstanding production value, songwriting that is sure to bring a tear or two, and performances that are sheer brilliance. This is another fantastic display of how doom can be one of the most beautiful yet haunting genres in all of metal. Give this one a go if you dig the genre, and even if you don't, still give this one a shot. This one could easily win you over. Next up, we have Better Lovers with Highly Irresponsible, the debut LP from this more or less supergroup, featuring past and present members of the Dillinger Escape Plan, Every Time I Die, and Fit for an Autopsy, is exactly what you would imagine from this sound. Although, it does go a little bit lighter than I actually imagined. It goes from some of the poppiest riffs that you'll hear in the genre, but don't forget what these other bands are all about. There's some riffs on here that rival some of the most chaotic moments that the bands have ever done in their other bands. And somehow, it makes it all make sense. It's a quick listen with 10 tracks and 35 minutes, which is just long enough to fully appreciate everything going on without fatigue. The production captures everything with a clean, sleek sound, and everyone in the band unleashes their controlled chaos into the world. If you dig these bands that they've been a part of, you should love what's going on with Better Lovers. This is the future for all of them. I can't wait to see what's next. Next up, we have Devin Townsend with Power Nerd. Heavy Devi has returned with his latest solo album that is quite the positive introspection. It's a look at his life and being appreciative of everything that he has, from the people who want him around to the world around him and everything in between. It's the most positive album I think he's ever put out, which is such a strange thing to look back on considering he's made albums like City and Alien. Production is top-notch and the songwriting goes from a little bit faster like in the title track to some slower ballads, but really almost everything on this album is a bit more of slower to mid-tempo, which really does fit a lot of what he does in his modern work. It's a beautiful album that definitely is not for everybody, but for those willing to give it a shot or just appreciates this side of him, I think you should give it a shot and see if it's for you. Sometimes you just need something this positive, and really, it does shine through. And going back 2 albums, and speaking of Will Putney, here's his main band Fit for an Autopsy with The Nothing That Is. The band has returned and are continuing to expand their sound while still being one of the best deathcore bands around. This time around, the band does not lose any of the deathcore breakdowns or chugs that made them famous in the first place, but the band continues to explore what they're capable of. The band explores more progressive death metal, more atmospheric moments, some clean vocals, which may not be for everybody, and other genre-bending moments that sound so strange on paper, especially with a deathcore band, but it works perfectly in execution. This greatly expands upon their original palette and pushes the band to go beyond their comfort zone and create something that is meant for most metal fans, not just deathcore fans. While you may never be won over by the deathcore elements, or you may not be won over with what they've been doing on the last couple albums, I think this is more than worthy of a spin to see if it's for you. They keep improving the machine, and I can't wait to see what's next on the next album. Next up, we have Ghost Heart Nebula with Black Shift. First, I must thank Carrie over at MSRcast and Metal Geeks for bringing this to my attention, as he knows what I'm looking for when it comes to Doom, and this fits perfectly and is becoming one of my favorite Doom releases of the year. While it is very much of the cosmic Doom metal, there is this overlaying sense of melodeath that's going on with it that just makes it absolutely ethereal but exceptional. Imagine a mix between Antimatter, Draconian, Shape of Despair, and Daylight Dies, and you have this brilliant band. On this album, the band continues to explore the dark hole they created with their debut album, but it goes bigger, grander, and fills you with a dark sense of dread that can't be topped. It feels like the album that was tailor-made for my love of both melodic death metal and doom. This is how it's done, folks. If you want an album that feels like you're lost in the cosmic void, this is for you. Up next is Gorebringer with Condemned to Suffer. This is the 3rd album from this band, and it's one of the most jaw-dropping displays of blackened melodeath that I've heard all year. Imagine a grand mix of Carcass, At the Gates, and the Black Dahlia Murder, and just modernized just enough. It creates one of the most melodic but dread-filled experiences I've heard in the genre. It's one of the best production values I've heard in this style all year, and the songwriting leaves absolutely no fat. This is mean, lean, and ready to go. 8 songs, 41 minutes, it simply kills from start to finish. It is a mind-blowing album for me, and it shows that you can be technical and brutal, but you're still capable of writing melodic riffs and songs that really know how to captivate everybody listening to it. If you need an album like this, if it sounds intriguing to you at all, seriously give this one a shot. Up next, we have Morier with an album title I apologize for butchering, I'm not that good at German, Vanach wir sterben. It's been 10 years since their debut album, but the band is back now with their sophomore album, and it's easily the better of the two. While this album does do away with more of their folkish side, which had a lot of Agalloch feel behind it, and the parts are still kinda there, they focus much more on the emotionally driven post-black side that they had in their first album, which is right in their wheelhouse. It's the kind of album that will drag you from near doom elements to the harshest moments of the genre and everything in between. It's a rough listen, you can just hear it emotionally, even if you don't understand German. Just the way that it's sung, it's a very cathartic experience. Try this one out if you're looking for something in post-black that can take you on the journey of the soul. It won't be for everybody, but if it is for you, this could be one of your favorites of the year. Up next is, you're not going to believe this, another one-man band debut album from the band Melancholy with Immaterial Eden. This is some of the most intriguing and advantageous progressive death metal that I've heard all year. It reminds me of bands like Edge of Sanity. I hear some Tribulation in here. I even hear it get a little dark and evil and symphonic in the way that Karak Engren does their orchestration. I'm astounded that this is a one-man project and everything that this is capable of in 2024. The production is just raw enough, but it's clear and it totally fits the music. The songwriting is catchy, but it knows when to go left of center and explore other territories. It balances everything that makes it whole, and it leaves you wanting more. If you're a progressive death metal fan, this should easily win you over. What a fantastic display of a debut album. And now, I'm chomping at the bit for LP number 2. Up next is Psychonaut 4 with Of Morning. This has been a band that I've always considered to be quite the trip, and for the last 12 years now, since their debut album, they have taken quite the trip. From its unique screams, catchy yet erratic musicianship, sometimes the most raw production I've ever heard, it feels like the band has taken a turn, and that overall sense of madness that I've never been able to put a finger on feels a bit more cohesive on their 5th album. It feels like everything is actually starting to click for me. This is the best production value they've ever had. The songs are just so catchy, yet experimental like I expect them to be. The vocals, I mean, they're always going to remind me of Life Lover, so, proceed with caution. But if you dare give this one a chance, if you enjoy that dark, depressive black metal with that avant-garde feel and, let's face it, Life Lover influences, this might be the album for you in 2024. Next, we have another black metal debut here from the band Silhouette, with a name that I'm so sorry for butchering. I'm not good at French. Les Dires de la Mer. I might be wrong on that one. A French outfit that really focuses on the emotional side of black metal and really brings in the post-hardcore, which a lot of bands have been starting to do this year, and I'm all here for it. The production is easily one of the best black metal productions I've heard all year. The songwriting brings you so many dark emotions that is sure to leave you weeping at moments, and I know I certainly did. It's a blend of black metal and post-hardcore that has been gaining traction in 2024, like I mentioned, bringing that darkness of black metal and that good cry that you can have from some emo and post-hardcore to create a vat of emptiness that you feel in only this kind of genre. It only gets better on every single listen, and it's left me feeling gutted and letting out tears just from the notes alone without even understanding French. This is another cathartic album that any black metal fan needs to check out. And finally, we end this with Hold On To Your Hats, another one-man band black metal debut album, this time from the band Weep and the Constant Strain of Life. This is a Minneapolis band from my neck of the woods, and I gotta say it again, Minnesota has some of the best black metal in the world, and this debut LP is another great example as to why. This is original, pure black gaze. In the original form, I mean, it is that raw black metal sound with that shoegaze feel just to give it enough emotion, but it is that raw black metal, especially in the production value. It's bare bones, but it is done with such finesse that when you hear everything that's going on, it will remind you of like an early day Agalock album. The songs are emotionally draining in the best way, and they leave you feeling hollow. It's such a great combination. Again, the fact that this is a one-man project is flabbergasting to me. I simply can't wait to see what's next. It's an awesome display of that original black gaze sound. I need more. And there you go, folks. Not only 20 albums that I cover this week, but I just completed 500 album reviews in 2024. Please excuse me if my voice is starting to sound ragged and I'm mispronouncing words and stuttering and stuff like that. I am completely and utterly feeling ragged right now, and I'm still not done with the rest of the year. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, in case you skipped it, I'm only going to November 15th. That'll be the last day that I do Out Today and What I Missed for 2024. Then I'm taking 2 weeks off before I start the top 100 albums of 2024. Of course, you should know what that is by now, but if not, go back and check out what I've done before so you can get an idea of what that's all about. But thank you so much for sticking around. Make sure to come back next week for the last original full form Out Today and What I Missed for 2024. When it comes to November 15th, you'll see what's going on with that. But until then, for the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel, this is Josh Ronquist saying, very begrudgingly, embrace the skillet.